case, doing these big events, the electricity it generated when we were in Miami-Dade right on the eve of the election. I mean, it was really an incredible thing to do. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. I also think the fact that he has really helped us with a lot of Florida issues, I think helped him. Wherever we needed hurricane relief, helping our military bases, our space infrastructure and space industries, Everglades funding, you name it, President's been there. And I think that was really a historic victory for President Trump here in the state of Florida. I also was able to help primarily through fundraising two of our candidates for U.S. Congress in South Florida, Carlos Jimenez and Maria Elvira Salazar. I think they're going to do a great job in the Congress. I think they're going to represent South Florida very well. I think I've worked with Carlos obviously a lot this year dealing with coronavirus, and I can tell you Maria Elvira is going to be a superstar in the Congress. So we were happy to see them succeed. I also worked with Senator Simpson and Speaker-designate Sprowls on helping them amass resources and fighting those tough races. Eric Holder, the former Attorney General, poured in with some of his groups between $10 and $15 million to try to flip the state house in the state of Florida. The result was that the House Republicans gained 5 seats. So they didn't draw any blood. They lit a lot of money on fire. And I think that's a testament to Speaker-designate Sprowls and a lot of great candidates who were running for office throughout the state of Florida, and also Senator Simpson. Looks like we have 1 seat pickup by 20-some votes. Obviously, there's going to be there's a process there, but I think we would rather be in our position than in the other position. But to win some really important races, he's got a great operation and did a great job. And look, at the end of the day, these people had an opportunity to run on 2 years of really successful and productive legislative work. The fact is, the last 2 sessions were very productive, historically so, and I think they had a lot to be able to campaign on. The final thing I say is just, and I'll be back talking a little bit more as this presidential election unfolds, but I was really disappointed with how the networks handled the call of the state of Florida. The fact of the matter is, if you wanted to be aggressive like they were in the other direction, you could have called it as soon as the early vote and mail ballots came in from Miami-Dade. There was no way Donald Trump was going to lose with just that number. I understand being a little bit more cautious, let some votes come in, but by 9:30, this was in the bag, and you had this drawn out, and there was a real resistance to just recognize reality. In fact, when they called it, there were fewer votes outstanding than the margin between the 2 candidates. There was never a pathway, and that was clear from very, very early. Calls Arizona without even a lot of the election vote being in from key areas where the president was likely to gather support. I think it was 70% of the precincts were reported. They jumped the gun on Arizona. A lot of the other networks still haven't gone for Arizona for that. So for Fox to be so resistant to calling Florida and yet jumping the gun on Arizona, I just thought was inexplicable. I don't think that was done without some type of motive, whether it's ratings, whether it's something else. North Carolina should be called. There's not enough votes outstanding to be able to change that race. Georgia hopefully will be called today. That should be done. I have been talking with the White House. They think they're going to win Arizona. You look at how the margin has been reduced dramatically just in the last, I think, 6 or 8 hours. Of course, they're going to continue counting votes, I guess, for another day or two. Why this couldn't be done on election night, I don't know. But I just think it shows if Arizona does flip, what a huge blunder that Fox News would have made by doing that premature call. And again, if you want to be aggressive across the board. That would have meant you call Florida at 8:30, and they didn't do that. They waited when it was obvious that it was in the bag, and yet with Arizona, it was a little bit different. So that Arizona race is still alive, and then the Pennsylvania, we believe that the president has an advantage there. But we're in another election cycle. If you think about it, this kind of political prognosticating polling industry, has not gotten elections right since 2012. They got 2012 right, that Barack Obama would be reelected. They did not predict 9 Senate seat gain in 2014. Clearly, they were wrong in 16. They missed huge races in 2018, including here in Florida, and they couldn't have missed this one, I think, any worse if you look at some of the things that were circulating over these last many weeks and months. And it's, you know, if you're that bad at your job, maybe some of these prognosticators should find another line of work, because I can't think of another line of work where you can be wrong so many times and then still be there to be able to offer analysis going forward. So we're going to be watching very closely to see what happens with the balance of the country. But I would just say the way Florida approached it in a very transparent fashion, doing it in a way that was focused on efficiency. Obviously, we have a lot of opportunities, different ways for people to be able to cast a ballot, but producing results in a timely and transparent fashion that inspires confidence, which you're going to have now in some of these other states. It's a very opaque process. There's not a lot of transparency. And when you go from one candidate winning by so much, if then that flips to another candidate 3 days later, even if everything is on the level on that, that is not something that's going to inspire confidence. And so I think some of those states should have followed Florida's lead on this. And there's one state, Nevada, they announced, we're just not going to count ballots today. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Really? This is your one job. It's a presidential election. You're just going to take the day off when it's a 0.5% race between two candidates, which could be the determining factor potentially in who gets to 270? Man, I can tell you the people in Florida working in these elections, they work their tails off. They wanted to make sure people can come in and vote. They wanted the votes counted. They wanted the results published in a timely fashion, and they did a great public service for the people of this state. I look around the rest of the country, and I don't think that confidence is there. So perhaps 2020 was the year that we finally vanquished the ghosts of Bush versus Gore. And as we watch what unfolds in the rest of the country, I do think you're going to continue to hear from people looking at how, if the third most populous state in the country can count 11 million votes, produce a result across the board, why can't some of these other states that are much smaller? And that's something that we're going to be watching. I'll be back to take questions probably sometime before the weekends. Thank you, guys.
You are watching the Florida Channel, connecting you to your state government.